Hello everybody, my name is Samar Bhise. We're going to discuss on how to be an artist in 2026. So let's begin. First of all, discussing the rationale, the need of why do we need to create a discussion on how to be an artist in 2026. With time, naturally things get outdated and updates need to occur. So this is going to be an update to the question itself. The way of how an artist operates now is different. The skill set that an artist is assumed to have also changed. Because of capitalism, everything that is being made right now is turned into a commodity or a product. There is a quantification that has been done to the process of creation and also what is being created. Internet is one of the biggest update that has happened to humanity. Keeping this rationale in mind, one must understand that there is and there will be no tangible definitive answer on how to be an artist. So this is going to be an insight oriented discussion into approaching the question of how to. Understanding thought processes and the types of pattern one must follow and recognize. Also, understanding that some things will and were and still always be the same. We are just updating our language into reaching the majority of people by communicating better. So let's start with, what do you mean by an artist? What definition do one gives to an artist? An artist is simply a person who wishes to explore and has curiosity about the things that are perceived by that person. Creativity is directly a way of perception and cognition, and it's in a way very natural. Truthfulness is much more complicated. As simple as it sounds, it's not really that simple to attain truthfulness and transparency about yourself, but it is a process. So one should be in the process of at least seeking truthfulness. While seeking this truthfulness, creativity can simply never stop, because there will be an acceptance in all the thoughts that are naturally created in the head. Every occurring thought is an opportunity of creation and is creation in itself. This is a solution to one of our difficulties in the existential inquiries of creative blocks. Currently, the major question arises on how to make money and sustain living while being an artist or making art. Capitalism forces us into a system which makes it hard for creatives to find a way in the system to make money. So you can be making art for your own expression, but the outcomes might not be in terms of money, which is important to survive in the system. To complete an artwork or a project, one has to undergo a lot of processing to come up with something extraordinary and further practice it repeatedly to put it out. It is a lot of effort to be taken. When you put so much effort into something, the output is much lesser with comparison to it. Of course, one might argue that the internal validation is what it should all be about, but living without money is not easy. If you don't have money, you won't be able to even make art. When you do it for internal satisfaction, it is okay, but when it comes to making money, the output can be less or even zero. Likes, comments, shares, etc. are the currency of the algorithm. Putting out your work on the internet is not very easy to just fetch likes and shares, similar to the problem of money. Constant existential inquiries that comes after that, like self-doubt, feeling misunderstood, creative blocks are bound to happen. being in an existential inquiry is a part of not just being an artist but also existing itself. It is a process that one goes through to keep refining the approach and meaning. Why, after so many difficulties created now, why being an artist is still important? An artist innately wants to do something that has never done before. It is, in a way, rebellion towards the norm. This factor is very much important because if we stay in the norm, we will never move towards a certain direction. There will be stagnancy and there will be no evolution. So we need artists for societal and future developments and make them even faster and easier. Sometimes what happens is that rebellion that I was talking about, it is so much exaggerated that the artist moves so much away from the norm that the artist loses relevancy. The person is into the extremities of things. It is so extreme and the rebellion is so hard that the artwork that the artist has made becomes irrelevant. There is no foundation for people who belong in much more larger population to look into it, to make sense of it. So there is ultimately lack of outcome. Artists now want to make art so abstract and so wild that it loses a sense of relevancy. And some artists can tend to claim that they are happy in their own world, As better as this sounds, it is also a problem, unfortunately, in today's world. One of the want of an artist is to send a message, right? It is to bring change. It is to reach people, influence them, motivate and inspire them, right? Who wouldn't want that? But by doing extremes, by over-exaggerating rebellion, by following the soul, which is the most beautiful thing ever, still the person here is irrelevant to the surrounding. Hence, a massive adaptation is forced onto the artist of today's world. With this, let's move to the solution. This is a bell curve. It is shaped like a bell. That's why the name. It is also known as normal distribution. It is a graph that describes how data is spread across an average value. Most data points cluster near the center, which is around here, 0. The frequency of data points decreases as you move further into the tails of the distribution. So, majority of the population cluster is around the center. This is where the everyday man lies. Now, let's take an idea of an artist or a work of an artist who is going to so much extremities that the artwork belongs somewhere over this section of 2 to 3. So the population here in this section, which is 2 to 3, is very less, right? Only to a very small and certain amount of people the artwork will be communicated, giving less interactions, less reach, less likes, and ultimately less revenue. If you are making your art which lies around -1 and +1, which is the center, it is feeding to the everyday man and keeping them distracted. You can make a lot of money. You can be successful in terms of capitalistic ideologies of the world. But that is not what the true nature of an artist is. It's very disappointing that most artists end up doing this, only feeding the normalcy, becoming sellouts. The bell curve solution also tells us in terms of algorithm that they suppress the extreme and they flag it as low retention and they get bored of the average, which is the center. The algorithm loves the sweet spot, which is this section of the 1-2 deviation range from the bell curve content that is familiar enough to click but weird enough to watch. What we want to do in 2026 is to be around this section, making your artwork to somewhere around this section, finding a sweet spot where it is kind of moving towards the direction of the extreme but also coming from a normalcy, having the ability to be understandable by the majority of population as well. One should be aware of what type of normalcy and what type of means of communication, cues and symbols are more easily recognized by the people. We can use them to convey better and reach a larger population. Being extreme makes you lose relevancy. Although I wouldn't say that any kind of artwork is going to go to waste if you do it with your soul. It is going to have an impact in the seniors for sure. Many known paintings and books have got recognition and impact after the creator was not alive anymore. Because at that particular period of time, the majority of people were just not equipped to witness it. In today's time, we can't afford to do that because making money is a necessity. But most importantly, the identity that you carry right now, in my case it's Samarth, and in your case it's your name, should witness the change and inspiration they have brought to the world while they are living and well alive. And I'm not saying to dilute your message or your art in any way to make it more comfortable to the majority. The system wants that. The system wants you to dilute the art. The system wants to turn people into an everyday man who just produces and consumes. It is the artist's job to wake them up. In 2026, you don't choose between selling out and starving. You choose to smuggle your art across the border of commerce. Twin Peaks, directed by David Lynch, which is a successful TV show that people used to watch on TV. It is a great example of this. On the surface, it is just a standard serial TV show. It had a pretty cast, a murder mystery to solve, but then it turns into this experiential, abstract dreamscape. One of his movies, Blue Velvet, is also a very similar example. Such work masks into the normalcy because they use recognizable symbols, but they still convey the hidden. Not only you will be satisfied bringing change, doing something that is not normally practiced, you will get money out of it. And in your living state, you will be relevant. The artwork that you will create will be relevant, you will get recognition for it, and you will find the reflection of the artwork around the majority of people and also other artists around the world. This will feed the identity to have a beautiful relationship with the soul. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more insight over the things that we have discussed, you can look up to these pointers. Thank you for watching. Share this video with your friends. Comment on what your thoughts are. Like and subscribe. Thank you and take care.